Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. It is time to show me your nuts. And my name's Stacy Braiuca, the Squirrel Wrangler, and I guide humans challenged at the crossroads of mental wellness and technology to calm the chaos. And in this show, we talk about that chaos, about mental wellness, about technology, about stigmas, about all sorts of stuff. So I was just about to say I'm feeling better than last week, and then I coughed. But I am feeling better than last week, so it's all good. So welcome to today's show. We are in the middle of talking about change. And last week's episode, we talked about a tech audit. So we talked about, we're trying to tame some of the chaos of the technology, of what the chaos we feel from technology, because, and we talked about the 4R tech audit: review, I'm sorry, got myself all mixed up already. Record, review, refine, and release. And this week we're going to kind of talk, I want to bring our senior squirrels back in and kind of help Aunt Ruth and crew with their tech, because tech seems to be more stressful for people. The older someone is, the more stressful tech tends to feel. And when I say tech in that way, I mean like digital technology, like computers and phones and watches and devices, and how to use those. If you've been watching the show for any length of time, you've heard me describe technology is really anything from the first tool we ever had, which was fire, all the way up to AI and anything in between. For today's context, when I say tech, we are kind of talking about those digital tools like computers and phones and watches, and how to use those. So the hardware and software of those things. Because I think as we get older, any kinds of technologies that are newer, as in they are being developed right now, they're scarier because of the new. Whereas, when we talk about things like the printing press, it's a technology, but it's an older technology. And because it was already developed, certainly before I was born and before many people I know were born, in fact, probably before everyone I knew was born, it's not a scary technology because it was already there. And so I think in a way we're more afraid of things that are new than we are of any type of thing. So let's say there was a brand new type of clothing that was available, or a new way to clothe ourselves, maybe a new material or a whole new way to clothe yourself. Maybe, who knows, a machine that does spray painted clothing on, which I know there are things that do that, right? But let's say that became very popular. That would be new for almost all of us, and it would be foreign and scary and just not something we were used to. But let's say it became very popular, it became what we used all the time, and clothing that you took off the rack and put on your body became more obsolete. Then the generation that was born after that, clothing that's sprayed on would be just normal, and they wouldn't be afraid of it, but the older folks would be. Okay. I'm trying to kind of do some comparison to describe, to differentiate really where that fear comes from, because I think the fear comes from the new, not from the thing. Okay. And so when you change how you look at it, sometimes that changes how it hits. So today I want to help our senior squirrels look at wrangling tech tools without the Techxiety. So let's do a quick check-in first about the tech tools and the Techxiety and look at how charged are your nuts. So this morning, let's go. How charged are your nuts from 1 acorn to 10 glowing computers? How charged are your nuts about what technology can do for you? Are you like, I don't want it to do anything for me, and I'm a one acorn, or I'm a, well, maybe I'll have it do a few things and I'm a 4, or maybe it's like I'm scared to death of it, I don't want anything to do with it, and I'm charged at, or I wanna learn all the things rather. I wanna learn all the things and I'm at a 10 or an 11. So let me know in the chat, how charged are your nuts about using technology, or about finding out what technology can do for you and what you can, how it can change what you're doing. So like I was kind of saying, is it's not really necessarily it's not really the technology itself that causes the fear, if you will. It's the new that causes the fear. And this is my opinion. And that's all I've got, unless you bring things into the comments. I'd love if you put some stuff in the comments. That'll help me with context of what you're thinking of. Because this isn't just the Stacy Show. It literally is show me your nuts. So I want to know what nuts you guys have about it. What things, and especially if you're a senior, or if you have a senior around you, what are the things that they're scared of? What are the things they're frustrated by? What are the things that are challenging at the and we're at that crossroads of mental wellness and technology being anything, but what is it you're scared of? And I will, like, an example of some people around me who have, I've helped them with that fear, is being scared of, I got an email from such and such, and it says I need to send them back my social security number so that they can continue my email service. And so I've had many talks with, not just with people who are older than me, but lots of people, about how to have safe email. We talk to people about how to have safe sex, and we talk about condoms, and we talk about things like that. But we need to talk about how to safely interact with, and I'm not going to say with the technology, because really the interaction is with another human who's trying to scam you. So to me, the fear should also be, the fear is of the other human, not of the technology. Because humans can use tools for good or evil. Humans have always used tools for good or evil. They're going to always use tools for good or evil. So it's the human that we should be scared of, not the technology itself. The technology is just how they're doing it. 100 years ago, they would have sent you a letter in the mail. 50 years ago, it would have been a phone call or a letter in the mail. 20 years ago, it might have been an email, but it was probably a letter in the mail or a phone call. Now it's, a pop-up on your computer, or an email, or a text message, or any number of things. And it's the the way that the person who is trying to scam you is using a tool to get to you. And it's the same tactics, to be honest, as well. They just get to you faster, maybe. And they, since they appear on the technology, we blame the technology. And I really like to have the discussion with people about it not being the technology that we're afraid of, because the criminals or the people who are using things in evil, trying to scam other people, they want us to think it's the technology, because then we're going to focus on it being technology and we're not going to focus on it being another person trying to scam us. As long as our focus is fear and the technology, we're going to fall for their scam. And part of what I would like to highlight is, if we stop and think about, is this coming from a source I know or from a source I don't know? Then we can decide, is it trustworthy or not? It's not, again, it's not the device, it's the source of the information that's coming through the device. And figuring out, how do you verify that the source of the information is from a source that I know? So, for example, you get an email and it looks like it's from Google, but you notice that the wording is not exactly professional, and maybe there's a comma in the wrong place in the sentence, or maybe there's a word spelled wrong. These are the things that we need to look for. The other thing is if you get an email, let's say you get an email from what looks like your insurance company, and it's saying you need to do something, and it says click here. Instead of clicking here, Aunt Ruth and all your friends, Aunt Ruth, instead of clicking on the email, stop and breathe and go, okay, this says my insurance needs this information from me and that I need to take care of it right away. Okay, there are ways to take care of it right away without clicking on that email. I do not click in 99% of the things that I get an email from, even if I think it's an appropriate source. You look at who you think it's from, and you go to that website, or pick up the phone and call your insurance agent, pick up the phone and call your doctor's office, pick up the phone and call whoever, you initiate contact with them through a channel that you know is safe, so that you can find out, is this in fact from them and they really do need something from you or not? Because then you can take care of whatever it is if they really did need something. Or you can find out, and you can let them know that someone is using their information to potentially scam you. Sometimes it's something that the doctor's office or the insurance agent or somebody can take care of from their side, and they can follow up and make sure that their clients aren't getting scammed. Sometimes not. Similarly to when you have a phone call, you have a scammer call on the phone, and it's a scammer, and you just don't answer the phone. In the case of the email, it's, you get an email, you notice that the logo's not right and there's misspelled words, you delete the email. Don't click any other button than delete. And if it's, sometimes you want to do some follow-up on it. It's, when in doubt, don't click. Go investigate otherwise. Just write the information down on a piece of paper and go, find a trusted source who can help you track down who the trusted source of the information is. I have a cadre of family members who contact me when they get weird things like that, and I help them go and find what's safe. So help each other with that. So we've got to be cautious in everything, and it's not the technology, it's the human that is behind the technology using it for good or evil. So I kind of use that as an example of, why Techxiety tends to show up for everyone, but specifically how Techxiety shows up for seniors. It shows up because they are targeted. They've always been targeted, and they've been targeted by using whatever the new technology is of the time. Because the people who are using that tool for evil know that that they're likely to have somebody who doesn't know and gets nervous and goes ahead and follows whatever their orders are. They know they can trick you because you aren't familiar. So becoming familiar with the technology is helpful for the sense of decreasing your fear, because then it is no longer the unknown. And then also just being cautious and smart in what we do always is important, right? Having safe sex is always important no matter what, even if you know who you're having sex with. Having safe interaction with your email, with your AI, with everything is important no matter what, even if you know the source you're using is safe. So being cautious and safe is important in everything we do in life. Being overly cautious to where you're fearful and don't use something keeps you stuck. So we've got to find the balance between those two things. So let's talk a little bit about things that we can do to counter that fear. Fear comes from unknown. Fear is an emotion that lives kind of in our past, because we have become afraid of things, and we hold on to, like, this happened to me before, so I'm going to watch out for it in the future and not have it happen again. And so we're fearful. But anxiety lives in our future. Anxiety is being worried about something that hasn't even happened yet. So from our unconscious mind standpoint, the fear is kind of connected in our past, and the anxiety is connected in our future. And they're both at play here. So fear is that being worried about something that we don't know about. If we find out about it and we learn about it, that helps take care of some of the fear, because it gives us context. And we can visualize our future in a positive way, which helps take care of anxiety. I'm simplifying some things a lot here. So there are ways that we can look into our future and look at things we're anxious about and change the way we feel about it. When we're talking about technology, I want to go through kind of 3 steps to a calmer tech confidence. I want to give you 3 concrete things that you can do if you're afraid of or struggling with, or challenged at those crossroads with that fear, and specifically with technology like digital tools. The first thing is calm your nervous system. You get the email. The email says you've got to do something, or they're going to close your account, and it has worrisome instructions in it. The first thing you do when you see it, don't click. Stop. And as my dear friend Sang says, pause and breathe. So literally, when you see something that says click, think, breathe. So if you've got a piece of paper, I want you to take a piece of paper and write down the words click and the word breathe. And keep that on a sticky note or on your notebook, or you can get fancy and put it on the background of your phone. Click, breathe, click, breathe. What I want you to do is to repeat those words to yourself every day this next week. Click, breathe, click, breathe, click, breathe, click, breathe. And just keep repeating it to yourself over and over like a mantra. When you see that sticky note on your fridge, just say to yourself over and over, click, breathe, click, breathe, click, breathe. What you're doing is you're connecting the synapses in your brain. You're connecting your brain cells between the word click and the word breathe, so that every time you think of clicking, you're going to automatically think of breathing, so that you stop and breathe when the urge comes to click. Okay. It may take a little bit to build this mantra. Usually it takes about 21 days to build a habit. So a couple of weeks of just repeating it to yourself over and over. So when I do this for myself, I do it with multiple different kinds of words and I'll put them together. Is you take and you want it simple, 2 words. Usually it's whatever word is bothering you and the word breathe, because that word breathe helps you stop and take a break. And whatever the first word is something that is upsetting to you. And so in this case, we're talking about clicking. Click, breathe. And you put that on your sticky note, and you may put a couple copies of that sticky note in different places, so that every time you see it, you think you can remind yourself, click, breathe, and just close your eyes and repeat it to yourself over and over. The repetition is no different than if I asked you, if I said, hey, 2 + 2, you automatically said 4. Now, I did not say what is the answer, to the mathematical equation 2 + 2 equals. I just said 2 + 2. Your brain automatically went to 4 because at some point in your life, you put the phrase 2 + 2 and 4 as a response to the phrase 2 + 2. And that's how you learned. 3 + 3, 6. 3 times 3, 9. You learned mathematical times tables. You learned addition. You learned black, white, hot, cold. You learned opposites. You learned different things that way. We learn from repetition at that young age. That's on purpose, right? Your brain still has that same function. So use the function of repetition in your life to build the mantra, click, breathe, click, breathe. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is that you want to watch yourself. You want to watch then, after you've put that together for a little bit, you want to watch, repeat it to yourself of click, breathe. And then when you hear the word breathe, you want to do, if you listen to the show the last couple weeks or a couple weeks ago, I believe we did the box breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4 is a slow breath in through your nose at a slow count of 4. 2, 3, 4, and hold it. 2, 3, 4, out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, and push all the breath out of your lungs. That's the important part. All of it. Just squeeze the breath out of your lungs, so that then you can bring in fresh oxygen. And that breathing does several things. One, yes, it's going to bring good oxygen to your body. Your cells are going to have more oxygen. You're going to be able to think more clearly, all those things. The other thing it does in the case of click breathe is it stops you from clicking by making you breathe first. And in the world of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that's called a state break, where you're breaking the state of where you're at, where you're wanting to click, and you break that state by changing your thought to breathing. Okay, you're stopping one thing and starting another. You're breaking that state of focus in on the word click, and you're breaking that and turning it into, wait a minute, I need to breathe first. Okay. You're transitioning your brain from one thing to another. So breathe before you click. Create the mantra, practice the breathing, and then start catching yourself or seeing what happens when you have the urge to click. Hopefully, you will have programmed yourself by using the mantra. You've programmed yourself to breathe before you click. That's just one of the steps, but I also helped you, like, how do you put that step in? The second one is ask before overwhelm. And by that, I also mean, like, after you've done your breathing, like you hear the word click or you think of clicking and you stop, then before you get overwhelmed with it, ask someone else to look at it. Say, "Hey, I got this thing, kind of worried about it. I don't know if it's real. Can you help me look at it?" Okay? Take a picture of it with your phone, take a screenshot. That way you're not clicking on anything on the email, but you are capturing the moment for someone else to look at. And then you can catch yourself to not immediately act and do anything that's scary. So, kind of a cool story of somebody who I worked with, who was older than me. I say senior squirrels, but by senior I just mean older than me, because I'm in the senior crew. So this group is, my mentor is who I'm speaking of. And so my mentor was 20-ish years older than me, and a brilliant, brilliant woman. I miss you every day, Lee. I miss you every day. She's passed on now. And Lee helped me learn so many things about myself, about our shared profession, about life. And but Lee, so I was terrified of teaching. She was terrified of digital tools. She was terrified of them. But she was getting ready to go on sabbatical, and she was going to have to use a digital tool to help her while she was gone. She was going to have to use this thing. So I helped her shop for the tools she needed. And when I help anyone, whether they're senior or not, when I help somebody shop for hardware devices or software or digital tools or gadgets, I use the same kind of process I do when I'm helping someone with their mental wellness. We sit down and we talk about things first. We talk about all the history of it. We talk about what's behind it, but we also talk about what is your purpose of it, because not all tools fit the same people. You can't just say, "Oh, we'll just get this, this, and this," or just do this, this, and this, because that's not going to fit for each person. So when I work with people, you need somebody who's going to help you find what works for you, right? So we worked together and came up with what she needed the tool to do for her. And we started there. We didn't start with, "Oh, you want this because it has all the bells and whistles. You want this and you want this thing and this thing." Let's simplify it down to what it is you need the tool to do for you. Let's find the right tool for that fits in your budget, that is easy for you to learn. And we worked on that. And then 6 months later or so, maybe, she wanted to learn more about one of the pieces. So using the same device we purchased, we put in a new lesson and started learning the next thing. She learned how to send emails from her device. She learned how to read the news from her device. She learned how to watch YouTube videos. And eventually she learned how to do video calls on it and how to um now, and when she passed, you could not rip that telephone from her hand. She had a tablet and a telephone at that point. And she also had become she'd had a lot of issues with her sight by the time she left us, and she couldn't see the screen. So some of the other things were learning how to use some of the tools for audio. The technology that's available for accessibility is so much richer than it ever has been. And to me, that's such a delight because more people can interact with more people. We can use those things to connect with each other. And the important part of the tools, the digital objects, and the technology behind them, the hardware and the software, it's to increase our human connection. People are going to watch this from all around the world. I can have meetings with people all around the world. I just had a meeting this morning that had people from 3 or 4 different countries. And that happens to me all throughout the week. That would never have happened 30 years ago, right? We need to think about the magic and the possibilities that the digital tools and software, the hardware and software bring us. It gives us the possibility to interact with people who live in different cultures and do different things than we do. So technology is to help us have more human connection. And things like AI that are not smarter than us, they just process faster. AI helps process faster. That means if I can get my tasks done faster, I can focus more on my human interaction with a person who's on the other side of the screen. And the only thing that I can't do with that person who's on the other side of the screen is touch them physically or smell them. I can't physically touch you. I can't smell you. But every other part of a human piece of human relationship we can do using this device, which means we can create more human relationships, which means we can understand each other better and maybe respect each other more and help each other through this life. That's the power. That's the true power behind hardware, software, technology today. So as you think about those things, I want to share with you the Breakthrough Show Network, which is a place where community and connection happen, and it happens in a big way. So I'll be right back while you learn about the Breakthrough Show Network.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home. where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Come join us and have fun. Talk about humans connecting with each other. It's more than just a bunch of shows. So I encourage you to check it out. The links are in the chat, or the links are in the description below. But let's talk now about some nuts and bolts. The nuts and bolts I want to talk about, I want to give you guys a challenge. I want to give you a nut to crack this week. The nut to crack this week, I want you to think about, is teaching one senior one digital skill this week. So if you have someone who is, and they don't have to be older than you. So think about somebody who is around you who doesn't have, they're maybe scared of a digital tool and you're not. I want you to take that idea and teach someone else in your life a digital skill, and then come back here and share how it went. Come back and share it in the chat. And when you share it in the chat, hashtag Tech Squirrel Challenge. So I just put in the chat, teach a senior a digital skill, one digital skill this week. And then come back next Thursday and share how it went. Okay. I'd love to see us pass around our own tips, tricks, etc. with other people, because we each have amazing things that we learn that somebody else doesn't learn. Things are moving way too fast in this world now for any one person, no matter how techie they are, to know all the things. And so helping each other, no matter how much tech acumen you have, is helpful. Okay. So take one digital skill that you know this week and teach it to another human, and then bring it back and then bring it back and we can share that in the chat with each other of what things we learn, what things we each learned. I have a new, it's not a new digital skill, but it's a new software that I've been teaching my friends about because it has changed how I do my week. And every once in a while that happens where I find something that's really cool to me. And I got lots of tech. I got a pretty good tech stash and tech, back there. But let's move on from that nuts and bolts to a shiny nuts moment of when tech feels safe, people reconnect with others and with themselves. So when tech feels safe, when we feel safe, we reconnect with others and with ourselves. I'd love to hear how that hits for you as a shiny nut. How does that hit for you, of that when tech feels safe to you, then it's safe for you to reconnect with other people, and it's safe to connect maybe differently with yourself. And I'd love to see in the replay, like, how that hits for you. Because I think, to me, the most important part of, again, the most important thing any technology has ever brought us, our first technology was fire, and it brought us the ability to cook meat or cook vegetables or cook things so that we could eat them, right? It gave us the ability to stay warm when the weather was cold. eventually you move forward and you've got the printing press, which gave us the ability to communicate with each other differently and not need people that were scribes. Then we have, we move on, we've got cars, we've got airplanes, we've got all of the things help us, I think, have been bringing us closer and closer and closer to be able to interact with each other on a planetary, on a global scale. And that's the most exciting and most important outcome of any technology. So that when tech feels safe, people are able to reconnect or connect with others and even with themselves. And when I say connecting with yourself, I think the important part of connecting with ourself that has come of late is it's kind of is the idea of things like AI. People are reconnecting with themselves by using AI as a brainstorming partner. Now, I'm going to put a caveat here to, there's lots and lots of news out there anymore. There's the, ACRN News, Stacy Braiuca here with ACRN News. There are news stories out there galore about us, about people using AI for their mental wellness and whether that's safe or not. And I'm going to go back to saying you've got to be able to be careful and be safe in everything. And AI cannot and will not replace your interaction with a human who is trained in mental wellness, specifically a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a clinical social worker, you name your choice of person who's trained that way, or a coach who is trained in helping you with the here and now and future. You're not going to be able to 100% replace them with an AI because the AI has all the mass information that has been written, and then it brings it together in what predictably is the next word in the sentence, because that's how it works, you guys. It's when someone is saying the cow jumped over it's going to put the word moon, because that's what is most common in all of the information it has, that's how that sentence goes. So it's going to spit back out to you what it thinks the next word is, and it may or may not be accurate or appropriate. It certainly may not be appropriate. People who are trained as therapists, especially, but also as and also as coaches, are trained in the art and the science and the literature of things. AI is only trained in the literature. Yes, it has the science. It may or may not be able, and it can be given parameters. So let's say it's trained in the literature and the science, but it cannot be trained in the art. The art is the human. So AI is not going to and cannot replace a therapist or a coach. That all said, so that's my big disclaimer. As a therapist and as a coach, I frequently and with excitement use AI in homework assignments that I work with my clients on. Now, we talk about what are the best ways to prompt it. We talk about what they're using it for, what it's good for, and what it's not good for. But AI can be a great way to have a brainstorming partner to bring up ideas for you, as long as you do it safely, and you can iterate for ideas. So, for example, I may have one assignment could be, put in all of your physical activity for the week, put in all of the food you eat for the week, put in all of the everything physical that you do if what you're doing is working on your physical health. Put in all of the data and then have the AI give you back suggestions on patterns that it sees in your data. because AI can calculate data, and it can calculate faster than we can. It can calculate your data. It can compare your data to what other data is out there. That's something I, as a therapist, can't do. However, it can't look at all of your mental wellness feelings about your physical health. That's where the therapist or coach comes in. That's where the art comes in. So you have to have art and science to do things like coaching and therapy. Same goes for medicine and engineering and anything that has art and science in it. AI is not fully going to replace those things. What it can do is it can do the pieces it can do so that then I can focus on the art with my client. I can have them work with the AI in between things to document what's going on, to look for patterns. Then we can discuss the patterns and talk about the feels underneath the patterns. And then I can help them reprogram this piece. So AI is not going to rule, take over the world. Thank you so much, Miss. Now, the fact that Jessica Dugas is watching the show, even though I know she has had talk about lots of things in her week, this woman is so full as a human in so many ways. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. I really appreciate you because I know how tired you have got to be today. Thank you for the comment on the great ideas. I'm hoping to weave through lots of little things. I try and keep it in a line, and that people can follow me. Yes, I am Stacy Braiuca, the Squirrel Wrangler, and sometimes I squirrel myself. So if you can have been able to follow me around all so I can show you all the nuts today, I appreciate it greatly. Today, let's kind of to recap, we talked about using a mantra to create your breathing before you click, and then asking for someone else to look at something before you get overwhelmed. I told you one of my favorite stories of Lee. Then the idea of, the nuts and bolts of, teaching, of cracking this nut, of taking one thing that you know and teaching someone else. And then maybe have them teach you something you don't know. Because teaching each other things is part of what grows our relationships in the world. Learning is why we're here. Learning all the things, not just learning skills, but also learning about each other, learning how to deal with our feels. We're on this planet to learn. And if we help each other learn, all the better, all the freaking better. So I'd love to invite people to stacybraiuca.com/events to come to the events that I have in my world. There are also many of those events that are also crossover events to the Breakthrough Show Network, because the Breakthrough Show Network is not just a show. It's not just a group of shows. The Breakthrough Show Network is a community. It's a place where people come to connect, to teach each other, to learn, to develop human relationships. And so come over and join us and learn the things. Come to our events. They're fun. There's co-working all the time, all sorts of co-working, art, meditations, creativity. There's a ladies' night once a month. Lots of fun stuff. So come over and join us. You'll find some of those events on my calendar that I just put in the chat, and you'll find the rest of the breakthroughshownetwork.com, which is also in the description. Go to the website and find out more. And come back next week and show me more of your nuts. Show me more of what's going on with you. So to end today, I think I'll say, I'm going to give you my tagline that I haven't always described to people, but remember your tomorrow, or you'll miss out on your today. Remembering your tomorrow is a little bit about how we can put things into our future so our unconscious mind knows what we want to do next. But that's so that we can focus on living in our today. So I'll maybe use that as a lesson sometime one week. We'll see what happens. But remember your tomorrow so that you don't miss out on today. And also, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to on wherever you're watching us from. If you're watching in the replay, throw a comment in, because I'd love to come back and follow up and see what you thought of today's show. I'll see you next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.